Hello, everybody. Let's talk about this solar eclipse happening on February 17th. So, the solar eclipse is when we are working with the shadow planets of Rahu and Ketu. So, Rahu is the head of the dragon, and Ketu is the tail. And Rahu is the head, it consumes everything in sight, but it has no body. So, it has no way of like digesting what it's consuming. And then K2 is the body until that does not have a head. And so it feels very uncomfortable here. And so it shows that Rahu is like where our energy and focus and obsession is at. And K2 shows what we're trying to avoid. And oftentimes, in order to get the head back onto Rahu, we have to like do the K2 thing. So Rahu can not just digest, but also process and digest, not just eat, but process and digest. So with all this energy in the Aquarius Leo axis, we have Rahu in Aquarius. So Rahu is right here, and he is consuming all these Aquarius things, which is like the people, the public, universal principles, what's best for everybody. And then we have K2 in Leo over here, and Leo is the kingdom, the king, the people with power, the governments. And so it shows that people are like, the public is tired of the government per se. And this whole axis happened last October, and we've been dealing with this energy now for at least like 6 months. And we see it happening across, where people are just fed up with the government across lots of different countries. It's not just happening here in the United States. And so we're bringing in more of that energy and we're really going to amplify it. And people have asked me why they think that everything is so volatile right now. And it's definitely, all of these planets have been together before they are, you can see they're all here in Aquarius, but before they were all here in Aquarius, they were all here in Capricorn. And Mars is going to move into Aquarius. Luckily, he's not there yet during this eclipse, but he'll be there on February 22nd. So he's going to get into the mix of this whole eclipse energy one way or the other. So we have a lot of planets involved. And so we're feeling that buildup of all these planets being together, and it's just they bounce off of each other. And so it's not necessarily bad or good, but they're activating each other, and that's going to activate our energy as well. But the bigger, like, underlining disruption, I believe, is the Saturn in Pisces, where Saturn is the planet of reality and forcing us to like face reality. And Pisces is where we get kind of dreamy, and the line between what's real and what's fake can be blurred. And so we're having the struggle right now of like the truth coming to light and people really facing reality. And Saturn, when Saturn is teaching us a lesson, it can be harsh. He's not necessarily going to come in and be nice about it, like, hey, you need to like see this from a better angle. He's going to be like, hey, idiot, you are blind. You need to see this. And if you can't, I'm going to make sure that you can. And so Saturn is definitely disruptive here in Pisces, especially when facing the truth is not necessarily what we want to hear. We all get kind of stuck in her like echo chambers. That's very like Pisces, just like only want to hear what I want to hear. And Saturn is like, no. But then hearing what you don't want to hear can be really disturbing. And then we have Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter is the planet of our beliefs. And Gemini is the sign of information and ideas, and it's ruled by Mercury. And so we have this energy of Jupiter, the planet of beliefs, retrograding through the planet of information. And sometimes we mistaken our beliefs and our opinions as like facts. And this is where that water can get a little muddied, where Jupiter isn't sure, like, was this a fact or is this just a belief? And so, again, we're being challenged with having to face our facts. Like we might get information that comes in and we're like, this goes against my beliefs. But what do I do? Do I still believe the same thing or do I change my beliefs? And it's hard to change and it's hard sometimes to face the reality, especially when the reality might be really harsh, like that your leaders are involved in some of the worst acts and crime imaginable. And we are, a nation of men who commit a lot of crime. I don't want to get like in the weeds of all of this, but when you have to face some of this stuff and realize that maybe our shadow is not so pretty, this can be really painful and it can also be really disruptive. And so I think that's more of the underlining energy that's causing everything to feel so unstable is that the truth coming out is very disruptive and getting to the truth right now is very difficult with the Saturn in Pisces energy and the Jupiter in Gemini energy. It's very like confusing and people aren't necessarily sure anymore like what's even real anyway. Just to like make things more confusing than it already is. And then on top of that, we add in an eclipse and a ton of energy in Aquarius where Aquarius energy can be kind of rebellious because when we are looking at the perspective of what the people want, it's typically not necessarily what the government wants or what the people in power want or what the king wants. And so it's typically the people fighting against the government. And if we were to see this in like a lighter, more spiritual sense, you as the Leo, the highest aspect of Leo is to be the good king, right? The king that takes care of everybody and doesn't just take care of themselves. And so there's a way for Leo to have an energy where that energy is in alignment with the higher good. But oftentimes, what we find with the Leo energy when it comes to leaders and governments is that it can be very self-serving. And Aquarius can be more, that energy sometimes can be like victimization, like victimhood, like the opposite where they'll victimize themselves. And so we don't want to be in those lower forms of that energy. So if you want to at least align yourself with the higher vibration of the Aquarius Leo access, then we want to bring in self-care and then we can be, if we take care of ourselves, and then we can be a better service to other people and take care of everybody. And that's truly like the highest form of that. So during this eclipse, remember to take really good care of yourself. The energy will be high and it, already has been for a while. I don't need to tell you that, but I do think it's going to get more intense. And and Mercury will go retrograde on February 27th, right here in the eclipse energy as well. So I do think the next month will be quite intense. And so the best thing for you to do is to focus on self-care, taking care of yourself, getting lots of sleep, and being kind to yourself. And then when that energy starts to lift a little bit, then you hopefully you won't feel so depleted because of the eclipse energy. And I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope you have a nice day.